Good evening from Johannesburg. I am Xolani Fakude, Head of Secretariat at the South African Democratic Teachers Union. Welcome to Let's Have It Out. Before we start the show, I would like us to observe a moment of silence for our fallen stalwart, a hero of our liberation struggle, Ubab Eric Stalin Mtshali, the man of steel. Tonight, and every night here on ENCA, a variety of different newsmakers will get their chance to host this program and give you a chance to get involved in the conversation. Unfiltered, accountable, and accessible, and it all starts now. Tonight, the issue on my mind is the state of basic education system in our country. Education is the foundation upon which any country can build its future. Earlier today, the Quality Assurer Umalusi released its State of Readiness report for the 2018 matric examinations that are due to start on the 22nd of October. The matric results are used as a yardstick to measure the state of our basic education system, something that I think shouldn't be happening because there are many of schooling years that are involved in a learner's life before they even get to matric. Now, to help me ventilate this topic, I've invited Professor Miriam Kalf, an independent education specialist. Prof. Metcalf has been in education for many years. In fact, she has even had a stint as an education MEC in Gauteng. Now, before we get into that discussion, we want you to get involved in the conversation. And here's how you can do it.
Tweet us at ENCA using the hashtag LHIO. Call us on 011-759-6340 or send us a WhatsApp or WhatsApp video on 082-884-6370. And make sure those videos are no longer than 30 seconds, please.
Prof, let me greet you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm hoping that we can have quite a jolly conversation.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Xolani. I've been looking forward to this.
Now, very quickly, Prof, let's start here. What is your take? What is your take on the current state of our basic education system, bearing in mind, of course, that the National Development Plan has some very, very ambitious goals on education and skills? What is your take on the current state?
Well, if we start with the NDP, I think the NDP is correctly ambitious. For example, the National Development Plan talks about the fact that we want to have 90% of our learners passing by 50% in math, science and language by the year 2030. Now, I think that that is admirable. But the problem is turning the NDP as a policy vision into the practical steps that are necessary to take us there. And that, I think, is generally one of the challenges in education. We say we aspire to be somewhere. But the programmatic steps of what needs to be put in place at what level and what are the targets in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years that will help us to achieve the 2030 vision are not adequately in place. So we are big on talking, and I would argue that we're not big on listening.
Interesting. So it is your view that somehow implementation remains one of the challenges?
Implementation in terms of very clear programmatic steps. We're good at events, and we're good at trying to inspire change. But what is needed, I think, is several things. Number one, we have to listen more. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting with really gifted education leaders at different levels in the system. And what they do is they gather people and they talk at them. We need more often to understand that where real education change happens is in the classrooms. And we need to be listening, I think, firstly to teachers more. And then we also need to understand that giving teachers new policies needs to be mediated into how they can know exactly what to do. We don't give teachers enough support. Of that, I'm absolutely convinced.
Very, very interesting point that you are raising. But now I want to ask again, now very clearly, just tell me, what do you actually think are some of the main obstacles or challenges that are blocking us as a country from achieving what we would say is the desired outcomes from an education point of view? What do you think are those main issues that if we were to address these ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues, then maybe we could start getting somewhere?
Okay, I'm absolutely clear that the way forward for a quality education is to have quality teachers. That's the lesson of all of the best performing countries. If we want to improve education, we have to have quality teachers, which for me starts with a recognition of the amazing commitment that teachers do have and how teachers work under very difficult circumstances, and we need to support teachers more. Now, the support that teachers need is opportunities for professional development. They need to be trusted to exercise their professional judgment. Too much of education these days is about instructions raining down on teachers as if they don't have a strong professional view of how to achieve what they care about, which is the improvement of learners. I would love to see education officials having a professional relationship of respect with teachers where they listen to the challenges that teachers are facing and do more to respond to those real challenges. Now, that's not saying that we shouldn't have very strong accountability systems, but accountability goes with the responsibility to say, how can I help you, to teachers when they do report.
I fully agree with you. I like what you said about teacher development. On the 5th of October, just recently, we marked International Teachers' Day. And this year's theme, interestingly, was that the right to quality education means the right to a qualified teacher. Now, the question that I would pose to you is that, do you think that, in all honesty, we are doing enough to invest in the continuous professional development of teachers? I mean, I'll put it to you that the budget of the DBE that focuses on professional development for the 2018-2019 financial year is what, 1.2 billion rands? That's compared to 13 billion rands for assessments. Now, which means that we are assessing before we develop. Now, I want to hear your view about that. Do you think that we are doing enough in the context of development of teachers?
I have strong views about this, and I'm going to, if we've got time, come back to your data about the DBE. I want to go back to schools again. If you think about where teachers spend most of their time and where teachers learn the most, it's the school. They learn from professional conversations with their colleagues. Now, we have to do more to support school managers to structure school time and school routines to allow teachers to have conversations with each other, to learn, to bring their problems to a colleague. So firstly, in a school, we have to do more to structure that. Secondly, if you ask teachers, how many times a year do you, if you did it as an average across a province, across a district, across a circuit, how many times a year do you have direct face-to-face contact with a subject advisor, with a teacher development specialist? The percentage of teachers who get one-to-one or even group contact with someone to support them is not even half of our teachers. Now, that should shock the country.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, that is quite a shocking way to look at it, and it's a reality, isn't it? Stay with us. After the break, we continue with this conversation.